Today I've got a recipe that pops. Stick around and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Today we're making a simple casserole, and it's called a Jalapeno Popper Casserole. It's inspired by my love for jalapeno poppers at restaurants and stuff, except for there's no breading and it's all keto friendly. So let's get started and see how this turns out. Alright, let's talk about these ingredients. But first, here is a sign saying that you are awesome. You know why? Because you're making this at home and you're trying your best to make it low carb. So yes, you are awesome. Let's talk about these ingredients real fast. I've got about 1/8 teaspoon of salt and pepper. I've got a 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. I've got a teaspoon of minced garlic, and you can use garlic powder there instead. I've got about 1.5 cups of bacon chunks. That's about 8 pieces of bacon cooked up and everything. A whole block of cream cheese, 8 ounces there. I've got 1/4 cup of chicken broth. I've got 1/2 cup of heavy cream. Oh yes, and the star of the show is I've got about 6 ounces of sliced jalapeños. You can go with more or less. I'm going with this ratio, but like I said, that's up to you and your heat level. I've got 2 pounds of shredded chicken. Now let me tell you about this chicken real quick. I'm in the middle of doing another video where I'm comparing all these canned chickens. So this bowl is a combination of about 4 different brands of canned chicken that equals about 2 pounds. You can use rotisserie chicken. You can use just chicken that you've cooked up and you want to shred. But since I'm doing that video, and I encourage you to check that out later and see which one I think's best and all that stuff, I'm still working on it. But anyway, two pounds of some kind of chicken. How's that? And about 1.5 cups of cheddar, and I'm using Cabot's white cheddar just because I like it. All right, let's start mixing this stuff up. So the first thing I'm going to do is just mix the seasonings in with the chicken because I have this big bowl of chicken, and just going to put this minced garlic in there, and I need to shred that a little more, so I just figure I'll shred that and mix the ingredients in as well. You can also just shred the chicken, put it in the bottom of the dish and sprinkle it with seasoning, however you want to do it, but that's the route I'm going. So let's shred that up a little bit. Now I've just got a wood spoon in this giant oversized Rubbermaid bowl, and I'm just going to go breaking this up and getting it the way I like it. So mixing those seasonings in really well. It's funny, the canned chicken, all of them have a different texture coming out of the can. So some of them were kind of shredded. Some of them come out in big blocks, but hey, this is going to be good chicken. It's going to take on the seasoning flavor anyway. So I'm not eating it straight out of the can. And while I'm mixing this up, let me just encourage you to like and subscribe to the channel, man. I appreciate you being here today. I know your time's valuable, but man, this is a economical, simple recipe that, hey, even I can do. So if you're into that, go ahead and hit that like button and come back and see me and check out some of the other ones. That looks right to me, and if you didn't know any better, I spent hours cooking that, but it comes straight out of a can. So now, moving on to the sauce, I'm just going to throw in the cream cheese. That has been sitting out. It's about room temperature, so it's softened. I'm going to throw in our heavy cream, our chicken broth, and we're going to whip this up into a nice little sauce. So I've got all that in the bowl. I've got out the old hot rod mixer. I think I've had this mixer since we've been married, almost 30 years of marriage. And it's still going strong. Maybe not, I don't know, but I've had it a long time, let's put it that way. And she still runs pretty good, so let's crank it up.
This is the way.
You don't want it to be real thick. You want to be able to pour it on your dish and spread it out nice and neat, and then that way it'll ooze down in there some. So all right, now it's time to put it all together and get it in the oven. The oven is preheating right now to 375, so let's get it going. All right, let's put together this bad boy. Now, it's not a casserole unless you have a pretty casserole dish, right? No, just use what you have. And these kind of dishes remind me of my grandparents and church get-togethers, but use whatever you have. This is about an 8x8. It's kind of a smaller one, but you can put it in a bigger one, I'm sure. But so we're going to put the chicken in the bottom and kind of press it in real nice and neat. And what I'm going to do, now you can do it how you want to do it, but I'm going to put half of the sauce in the middle, and then I'm going to put half on top. So I'm going to whip out a little bit of this in the middle. That way I know it's going to get down in there and be real good. So just whipping it up in there. And then I'm going to put the rest of the chicken on top of that. And like I said, this is about 2 pounds of chicken, so you don't have to go exactly 2 pounds, but it's going to fill up the dish. So there's the rest of the chicken, and now we're going to pour the rest of the sauce on top. And like I said, this is still, you know, it's well blended, but it's going to go right on top like that. So now we've got our mixture over top of it, and now what we're going to do is just put our jalapenos on here, and you can just pour them on if you want, but I'm going to try to place them evenly around there. And these are the pickled jalapenos. I didn't have enough ready in my garden to use fresh ones, but you can do that for sure. The thing about the pickled ones, to me, it seems like they're a little bit milder than straight out of the garden. And also, if you'll look, a lot of them are missing the seeds out of it, so that makes it a little more mild. If you like hot jalapenos, this one here's got some seeds in it. With that core and the seeds is what makes it hot. So my wife's going to be eating on this with me, so this should be on the milder side, at least I hope. And yeah, I remember the first time I ever tried a jalapeno popper. It wasn't long after I got married, and I think we were on our honeymoon or something. Well, something like that. And they were so awesome. And then later on, it seemed like every time I get them, they'd taste freezer burnt. And I'm not really sure if that's just because they're frozen, or I'm not sure why. But this is not going to have no freezer burnt taste because it has not been frozen. But I've been a fan of jalapeno poppers, even if they do have that little weird taste to them, for a long time. And I love jalapenos. So yep, look at there. That worked out about perfect. Like I said, you can double this layer if you want. And I'm going to pour just a little bit of this juice on there with it, because that adds some flavor. And now all I'm going to do is just top it with my cheddar. And I'm going to put it all over it real nice. I like cheese. I don't know about you, so you can adapt it. And you don't have to use cheddar. You can use your favorite cheese. I like the white cheddar from Cabot's. Like I said, it's just my favorite cheese. And then, the only thing left to do is put the magic on it, the bacon. And I like bacon too, so who don't like bacon? You can leave this off if you don't want. If you don't like bacon, you can leave it off, but I don't know if I've met too many people that didn't like bacon. And when I browned this bacon up, I didn't cook it real crispy because it's going to get a little more done in the oven. So I'm going to go with that right there. I got a little bit left over, but I think that's about perfect. Nah, I've got to have a little more. Nah, just use all of it. All right, my friends, this is going in the oven. There's nothing really raw in here. You could eat it just like it is, but we're going to get it in the oven, 375, for about 20 minutes to let it get good and molten. All right, here it is, fresh out of the oven. And I put me a couple little jalapenos on top just to decorate it and offer it as a warning sign to others that it has peppers in it. So no more talking about it. Let's eat it and see how it tastes. Oh yeah, y'all know it's taste test time. My favorite time of the video. Hey, I'm going to dig in and see what we have here. Now that right there is a good meal. The best part, it was fast and economical. All the right check boxes. And not to mention, it's got one of my favorite things, spice. I like spicy food, but it's not real hot. It's real mild if you ask me. I think it's a win. I think it's win, win, win as a matter of fact. You would never guess that's canned chicken if I'd serve this to you at a family get-together or a church gathering. You'd just be like, oh, that's some great chicken. Hey, give it a try. Don't be afraid. And I appreciate you tuning in today. And until next time, may the Lord bless you and have a great week. Yum.